Good afternoon and messed that up. Good evening and welcome to RS Media live podcast. This is the first monthly podcast that we'll be bringing you every podcast monthly, maybe the end of the month or the last Wednesday before the end of the month. So I'm joined tonight by none other than Mike Harneman. Good evening, Mike. How are you doing?
Yeah, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. There you go, right? Just cover it all. Cover every basis possible. But yeah, I'm good, mate. How are you?
I'm all right, thanks. I'm looking forward to this bumper packed podcast.
Yeah, it'll be a good one. I'm looking forward to it myself as well. You know, I've not long been in from a meal as well, so I'm all shirted and all like smart and yeah, all good.
Good evening, Sean. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, Rye. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Looking forward to this. And welcome to RS Media Podcast, Limo.
How's it going, fellas? Thanks for having me. Hope you're all well.
Yep, we're all good, thanks. And I'm very thankful for having you on.
My pleasure.
Especially after two of the main topics are something that you can deal with.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, not a problem. So, thanks for having me.
That's good. And thank you very much for taking your time out to join us.
No problem.
The first topic that we will be covering is going to be the Cristiano Ronaldo getting either a second round or a third round of COVID after testing positive again for COVID. And there's been a few players that have had to self-isolate due to this, including players at my hometown club, Plymouth Argyle. There's been players at clubs that Mike knows that have had to do it as well. So we'll jump across to Mike on that first.
Yeah, so with Cristiano Ronaldo, of course, it's the second time that he's had the coronavirus now. And of course, you know, he posted actually on social media, I think it was earlier today, saying that he was looking okay, feeling okay, etc. So that's a positive sign. You know, of course, he's got to, go with all the protocol and kind of do everything properly, etc. But it's good to see that he's, doing okay. And of course, it's happened. You know, we've had the same situation with Arsenal as well, Kieran Tierney for one, and also even with Stevenage as well. There's 3 players at Stevenage that have had the coronavirus too. So just really just want to give everyone our best wishes and just hope that, you know, it's not severe for them and they're able to get on with the job that they love. Yeah.
Yeah, the 3 players that were involved were Conor Grant for Argyle, who tested positive just over 10 days ago. Niall Canavan and Scott Wooten tested negative for the test for COVID, and due to them living all together, even though Niall Canavan and Scott Wooten travelled to Lincoln in their own cars because they weren't sure because they tested negative, they weren't sure if they could play. EFL got in touch with them a couple hours before the Lincoln game and said, no, we'd rather have them self-isolating and send them back home. So they did that. So anyone else got any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, it's it begs the question, doesn't it? You know, people are told that they can't go on holiday, and when they do go on holiday, they've got to come back and self-isolate, and we're subject to fines, and that impacts on employment, doesn't it, and people's personal lives. And I just think, you know, I agree, you know, football should continue in some aspects, but I think they need to be mindful that, you know, these international games, you know, I think they need to be kind of looking at where we're doing these things and having players travelling to different countries and coming back. it really is increasing the risk, and that's in my opinion, of course.
Yeah. What about you, Sean? Have you got an opinion on this?
Well, it seems like the impact of coronavirus has affected everything, like in all sports, not just like football. It's infected like rugby and all that lot. It seems like when the fans do come back, they will feel much more importance than they have now, because the clubs are suffering. Clubs are suffering without the impact of football fans being there to watch the game week in, week out, to pay their own hard cash to watch their team play week in, week out.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to just come in on that as well, just the whole aspect of the fans there. And, even taking it away from football, obviously we've got the big boxing fight this weekend as well. And, for any sport, it's going to be a completely different thing to, have 11 players for each team, 22 players step out onto the field there in front of no crowd, even with a big fight as well. The whole atmosphere above and around boxing as well. It's a completely different thing at the moment. And it'd be great to have those fans and people back into the stadiums and all that again soon.
Yeah, I totally understand it. I mean, lower league teams are allowing up to 300 fans, which I think is the right thing because it's open air. But grounds, in my opinion, that have got full seating and a full stand, I don't think they should be allowed back in at the moment, in my opinion. Just because it's just you can't fulfill everyone in the stadium, especially season ticket holders, especially like the likes of Man U. They have like 70,000 season ticket holders, and you can't social distance them across a 78,000 seater stadium. You've got Everton that have 30 odd thousand season ticket holders. You can't social distance them in 38,000 seater stadium there, Lee?
Yeah, just on 39,000. But yeah, like you say, it's got to be safe, hasn't it? And I get, Harney's point and, the atmosphere and these big events. And I think it's definitely already having an impact on the Premiership. Some of the crazy results, some of the decisions as well from the referees. I think having the crowd there, I think there definitely will be different outcomes to a lot of the games that have already played, and some of the goals that are being scored at the minute as well. I think obviously that is impacting massively on the Premier League at the moment. I mean, look at the top two at the minute. Top three. Take away Liverpool, you've got Everton and Aston Villa up there at the moment, and I don't think anyone would have expected that so early on within the start of the season.
No, and even, if you look in the top 5 or 6, the likes of Leeds United as well, the way they've been flying, even the likes of West Ham, Southampton, those sort of teams as well.
Yeah, definitely. Especially when they're normally teams that are in the bottom half of the table, but they're doing well for themselves. So we'll move swiftly on to the next topic that we're going to talk about, and Lee's going to have a very big say on this because it's the Merseyside derby where it finished 2-2. Liverpool had a goal disallowed for offside. Jordan Pickford injured Virgil van Dijk. It's now put more risk on them because they've now lost Fabinho after an injury in the Champions League. So what's your view on all of that, Lee?
I mean, first of all, as I said, I'm not a bitter blue, and I think given the start of the season we had, people were talking, and the chat amongst the fans mainly was this was going to be one of the biggest tests for us, and obviously playing Liverpool off the back of a 7-2 defeat to Aston Villa, it was probably for us the best time to play them and probably our best chance of beating them. But I think overall the match, I think Liverpool, they did dominate it. We had spells. We didn't have many chances. Richarlison, missed a header from A fantastic ball in from Rodriguez. But Liverpool took an early lead. Great finish from up close from Mane. A fantastic ball over the top from Thiago, which, fantastic player. When you look at his movement, his footballing brain, he really controlled that midfield. And I think he went under the radar in that match, to be honest. I think he was fantastic. But I think Everton lost their heads a little bit. We weren't that solid unit that we had been in the previous few games. We struggled in the midfield. Liverpool overrun us. And like I said, they just dominated. And then obviously, that early injury to Virgil van Dijk, which probably impacted on the game as well as a whole. We question would DCL have scored his goal. I think Van Dijk would have put him under a lot more pressure, given the quality of him. And, obviously, when we talk about the injury itself, Jordan Pickford, for me, he's a young keeper still needs a lot of experience. And I think, I really don't feel that he's done that tackle irrational. I don't think, intentional. I think it was more.
No, I agree. There's no malice in that. Yeah.
No, I think it was more. It's just more of Pickford's character. When we see that game after game, beginning of this season, the end of last season, he's quite erratic, and we see him coming out a lot like that. Unfortunately, Virgil's been there, he's gone for the ball, and it's a horrendous injury. And as an Everton fan, obviously, I hope he recovers a lot sooner than expected. He's going to be a massive loss for Liverpool. He's a quality defender, and as you said, Vi, now Fabinho's out, Liverpool are really gonna struggle at the back. And I think he held that defensive back four together, and I think he controlled part of the midfield with him and Henderson in the side. Real strong characters for Liverpool. And then obviously, as we know, it was 2-2. But I think when I look back at the Henderson goal, and again that ball through from Thiago to Mane, I have to say, as a football fan more so, I think it's a very harshly ruled out goal. I think the goal should have stood. And I think, it would have been a different story for Everton, given that we've just lost to Southampton as well. That would have been 2 league games on the bounce lost. So it's a very different story when you're looking at the league. And, thankfully for us, that the goal was ruled out, but I definitely do think it should have stood.
And just we've got to touch on DCL as well. He started the season so well, hasn't he? He's on fire at the moment for the blue side of Merseyside.
Oh, absolutely. And it just shows the work ethic that, DCL's got at the moment. And I think, we've got to put some of that down to Duncan Ferguson and the way in which he's coached them. But the way that boy can leap is just unbelievable. And like I said, his all-round game as well. He can hold the ball up. He can pass it out to feet. He can turn. He can run. He can dribble. He puts a lot of effort in, and absolutely deserved his England call-up, and I'm over the moon that he got a goal on his debut as well.
Yeah, me too. And there's a couple of big signings in there for Everton as well that was brought in, the likes of Doucouré and Allen and James Rodriguez as well. They're all making a really big impact, and all 3 of those and a couple of the other ones that you've had at the club for the last few years as well, DCL, Richarlison, are all players that are putting in a performance, every single time they step out there on the field.
Yeah, I mean, I said this a while ago, when we were talking about it on the debate, Harney, and Everton have been missing the sort of players like Doucouré and like Allen as well. Someone sitting in front of that back four, gone are the days, like so when we had Fellaini under Moyes and Thomas Gravesen and Lee Carsley, players like that, those box-to-box midfielders as well, people who are going to contribute to scoring goals as well as help the defence out. And for a long time, I think in football these days, a lot of games are won within the midfield, and that's where Everton struggled for a long time. We didn't have that quality, and we went through a stage where we were bringing in too many attacking midfielders, and that just impacted on the dynamics of the squad. And for me, bringing the likes of Allen in, Doucouré and Rodriguez, just puts extra pressure on the likes of Sigurdsson and Bernard, Tom Davis, to step up their game and start performing. And I think Gomez really complements those two players as well in the middle of the park. And, I think we look a lot stronger, but again, it goes back to that squad depth, similar to Liverpool. And you take some of those quality players out, which we've seen already this season with Everton, is that we seem to struggle. Yeah, we've got a really strong 11. There's no doubt about it, but I think take a couple of those people out and fill in those positions. I know we spoke before about earlier on before we went live about Iwobi, but I just do not rate him at all. He just wants too many touches. He needs to whip that ball in quicker. He wants to cut inside. The amount of times he could have crossed that ball against Southampton for DCL to link onto, he just held the play up and. Rather than us going forward, he kind of held it up and wanted to go back or cut inside, and he lost the ball a lot. And I just think the amount of money we paid for him, same as a lot of players under the likes of Silva, and when other managers come in, Koeman, it just, we were paying over the odds for panic buys, really.
I know, and you've just seen it there. Anyone that's watching on the stream as well. Me and Sean are big Arsenal fans, and Sean has had a massive grin all across his face there, all the way through that part of talking about Iwobi there.
Yeah, sure has. Another thing is, if Van Dijk was actually on the side, do you think the referee would have sent Pickford off?
I think. Obviously, the decision, and obviously Van Dijk was offside, and that's what that's where the decision's been made. And what do you have sent? I don't think the referee hasn't made that decision there, and then he hasn't seen it. He hasn't thought it was a rash challenge. Do I think Pickford should have been sent off? Honestly, I think he should have. It was just a really irrational, dangerous challenge. As I said earlier, albeit there was no malice in it. ACL's a bad injury, but it could have been a lot worse. It really could.
Yeah, I totally think. I mean, I've met Jordan Pickford when he was playing for the under-20s against US under-20s a few years ago, and he seems really calm and all that and nice. So, Mike, have you got any thoughts on this?
So obviously, in regards to that game, there was a great derby, a really fantastic game of football. That's one that you want to show people who are getting into football at a young age, and just that's how football should be played in the attacking sense. Anyway, not in the Jordan Pickford kind of sense, but the injuries, etc. But in the some of the attacking football on show that day was fantastic. But yeah, I think I agree in regards to the Jordan Pickford one as well. It could have been a red, but of course, if it's given as offside, then you kind of overrule that and don't worry about that anyway. But yeah, I just kind of want to echo what Limo was saying, really. Of course, it's a very nasty injury for Van Dijk. And last time that Liverpool were without sort of two or three key players, the Van Dijks, the Hendersons, and the Alisson, that was when they went and they played Villa and they got absolutely battered by them. So, and fell apart really on that day. So, we just kind of hope for, from a Liverpool perspective, that you don't see more of that again. Yeah,
and also, you've also got to say that Richarlison actually received the red card in this game. Yeah,
I was just gonna touch on that. Right, sorry. Yeah, I mean, for me, Richarlison's challenge was absolutely reckless. You can't condone challenges like that. In this day and age, and I think discipline. Seemingly at the moment, although there's a good work ethic, and Ancelotti, he's a proven top manager, and he's the type of players that he's been able to pull in at the club, just confirms that. But there just seems to be some slight lack of discipline in regards to how the Everton players are challenging at the moment. The losing your head quite quickly and throwing a boot in like that, it's just reckless. And obviously Lucas Digne getting sent off again against Southampton, albeit that ban's being reduced, but still it just shows that there's still work to do. And I'm not kind of putting my head in the clouds and saying that we're going to go on and win the Prem. There's a chance that, a lot of teams can win it, but I think we've really got to kind of, step back a little bit and just be mindful of the discipline within the club.
Yeah, I totally understand that. I mean, my view on this is I think the offside, you can't be offside with an elbow. It's something that you can't score a goal with your elbow.
Agree completely.
So I think the goal should have stood, even though I did predict a 2-2 draw. And lucky enough, that goal was disallowed and gave me some points for my prediction leagues. But in all fairness, I think Liverpool should have got all 3 points. I mean, it was one of the best derby games that I'd seen for a while. Also, the Pickford challenge on Van Dijk. Yeah, if Pickford was, if Van Dijk was onside, then yeah, I totally agree that Pickford probably would have received the red card for serious foul play. The red card for Richarlison, it's a blatant red. He's gone in there half-hearted to injure the player, and lucky enough, the ban got reduced. He is really lucky on that.
I was just going to say, just briefly, they missed him in their game against Southampton as well. A real creative player there, and he was missed when he really lead. To be honest, I didn't see too much of the game, but from what I saw and the highlights, etc., you could see that his sort of impact and his influence there was definitely missed.
Yeah, I mean, Everton were really flat, and I'm not taking anything away from Southampton. They played really well, but we were flat. We just didn't seem to have any creativity. I don't believe Rodriguez was fully fit, and that showed on the pitch. Felt we were a bit disorganised at the back. Obviously, Ben Godfrey, had a good game in the derby, I felt. He was quite solid, but I definitely think that he struggled against Southampton. He couldn't handle Redmond coming up that wing, and it showed. I think there was a period of a 5-6 minute period where Southampton actually scored 3 goals. Luckily, one was disallowed. But they really brought us back down to earth, and like you said, it just showed taking that creativity out the side and not having a fully fit Rodriguez and changes in the midfield. It really did impact on the dynamics of the team and how we played.
I think Sean was going to come in with a few points on this one, was he as well? So Sean, you can take over, mate.
Yeah, what I say is that if it wasn't for offside, Pickford would have been sent off. But what I don't agree with is the fans sending him Pickford death threats already. You cannot send any player any death threats, because that's just wrong in my book. Pickford didn't mean no harm to injure Van Dijk. He just thought he did what was best. He thought, I'd go for an inconsistent tackle, and it didn't kind of pay off. But what I don't agree with is that
I agree as well. We were touching on this the other day, weren't we, Limo? I think we spoke about it in your stream. Might have been last night, in fact. And, people are, they're professionals, footballers or doctors or nurses, and the industry that you're in, Limo. People make mistakes. It's human nature. It's life. It's kind of how things work with life, and it's not right to get onto somebody about making a mistake in their job. Yes, it's potentially a nasty injury for Van Dijk, and he's out for 9 months now. But there still needs to be some kind of sense of sort of common decency as well. Yeah, respect, etc.
Oh yeah, I totally understand that as well. I mean, you should never send anyone death threats or anything. So even if he has made the malicious challenge, you don't send death threats. So we'll move swiftly on to the next topic, which is the topic about Exeter City, who are obviously Plymouth Argyle's biggest rivals, having to sign emergency loan goalkeeper Shaquille Anderson from Reading on an emergency loan due to Johnny Maxted and Lewis Ward picking up injuries over the last few weeks, and especially with Lewis Ward, who was playing at the weekend just gone. He picked up the knock on his ankle, which has now ruled him out for a period of time. He's picked up this knock. He got injured. They had a goalkeeper who was Exeter City's under-16 goalkeeper on the bench, who's only 15. So a big shout out to him to be in around the first team at such a young age, and picking up some valuable first team experience, because I know he didn't come on, but Jokel Anderson has now came in on an emergency loan with a view to keep extending it. It reminds me of the situation with Plymouth Argyle a few seasons ago. I mean, we had 6 or 7 different goalkeepers in the space of a season, where we had the likes of Luke McCormick pick up an injury. So then Kyle Lefferon came in. Kyle Lefferon got injured. Michael Cooper came in. Because he was a youngster, we had to bring in a first choice professional. So we brought in Remy Matthews, who then got injured against Portsmouth. We also then he got injured, so we had to send him back. Then we ended up having Luke McCormick back for one game. He got injured again. Then we brought in a youngster from Hull who played against Yeovil in the Checkatrade Trophy, or the Football League Trophy. He played, and then I think Luke McCormick came back for the one game, got injured. We brought in Keller Roos from Derby, who did really well in his 4-game spell, and he went back to Derby. And Remy Matthews, who was on loan from Norwich in the end, we sent Keller Roos back, and we got Remy Matthews back, and we signed him on a loan deal until the end of the season, at the end of December, because we were on an emergency loan. We could have him for a week, but in that week we could extend his loan deal, so we just made it until the end of the season. So
that's why I love these emergency loans as well. You know, it's much needed at times for especially goalkeepers as well. When you've got these 2 goalkeepers that are picking up injuries, you know, the one goalkeeper there you mentioned that was able to carry on and play the end of that game, but of course he's going to be out long term now for a couple of weeks, and that's why I love the emergency loan window, that you can actually just bring in a new goalkeeper here on a short-term loan for a week or 2 weeks or a month or whatever, and they're able to come in straight away for the next game. It's brilliant, really.
Yeah. We can touch on this a bit more after, about Petr Cech being called into Chelsea's under their 25-man squad. But before we do that, I think Lee's got a say on this.
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking that in my head as well, but a great opportunity for a young keeper to give himself some exposure, and obviously trying to take the positives from the negatives. Obviously it's given an opportunity to a young lad, Harry Lee, who's come up and got himself some time on the bench. And like I said, it's all about opportunities sometimes, football, and I think sometimes those opportunities you've got to grab with both hands, and unfortunately those opportunities can come in some of the worst circumstances, but hopefully some positives will come from it. And I think Exeter can hopefully relax a little bit. What I've seen of this kid, I believe he's not a bad keeper. He's a really good shot stopper. He's brave, as most keepers are. He's good at getting down at people's feet. So fingers crossed he'll be a good signing for Exeter. And like I said, we might see more of the young kids as well, which hopefully we will do.
Yeah, I mean, he made his professional debut in the 1-1 draw against Leyton Orient, catching up with his team 4 hours before kickoff, which is a big deal for an emergency loan player as well.
Massive.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's huge. And to come in and to get a respectable point as well, and to only concede 1 goal, I'm sure he probably would have made quite a lot of saves in there as well in that time, and get his confidence levels up.
Yeah, I mean, he conceded quite early on, but after 4 minutes, but he did really well for himself, and hats off to Exeter for getting someone in that is a youngster, but has a bit of experience of having played for Reading's under-23s.
Yeah, and actually, Limo, for the late debate, even on Sunday, it might be saying, speaking to JMO, so if you get JMO's thoughts on that as well.
Yeah. I was when I seen that he come from Reading, I thought, I'll catch up with JMO and see his thoughts and see if he knows a bit more about this young kid. It'll be interesting to see what he's like. It's in the headlines, and just going back to, obviously, England have allowed in the English leagues, they allow these emergency loans for goalkeepers. Yeah. Just thinking about another time when it happened, why Branthwaite ended up at Barcelona, another situation where they needed an emergency striker, and he came in, not on the same sort of level, but it's happening all around the world, and it's happened before in some of the bigger leagues as well. And whoever thought Branthwaite would end up at Barcelona?
Well, no, it's crazy. Yeah.
Martin Braithwaite, from a very low league side in the La Liga that season, and they even appealed because they said, well, we're losing one of our best players. Why can't we make an emergency signing?
And they wouldn't allow it, yeah.
And
they were probably just going to try and go in for an emergency loan signing of Lionel Messi, though, were they?
a great swap.
Yeah.
They would have got the better deal for that.
Oh, easy.
I mean, I like Martin Braithwaite when he was at Borough, but he's gone on to do better things, and now he's part of Barcelona's squad, which from Middlesbrough to Barcelona,
there's not many that have done that. Yeah.
Well, via a few moves as well, but good riddance to him. He's doing really well for himself. But we'll move swiftly on to the next topic that we have, and it's about players being called into clubs. So this is the likes of Petr Cech being called up for 4th choice goalkeeper for Chelsea, registering him in their 25-man Premier League squad. The likes of Mesut Ozil and Socrates Papastopoulos missing out of Arsenal's 25-man squad.
Say his name again, right? What was it? Socrates who?
Socrates Papastopoulos. and they been missing out. So I know Mike and Sean will have a big say on this because they both are big Arsenal fans, and they would have a say on Petr Cech being called up for Chelsea because he played for Arsenal for quite a few years. So we'll come to you first, Sean, on this.
Oh, wow. Petr Cech, I thought he was done, but stranger things have happened in football. What a guy, what a character to be emergency loan for Chelsea goalkeeper, because Kepa is not up to standards. Willy Caballero is not up to standards. They only got a decent keeper in Mendy that they signed in the summer. So I think it'll do him a lot of good. I don't think he'll play as much games, but he'll be there just in case things go wrong.
And what do you think about Mesut Ozil and Socrates? missing out of the 25-man Premier League squad for Arsenal?
Keep it short, Sean. We've got an hour and a half. So we don't have to go into massive detail.
Yeah. Well, I'm not surprised about Socrates missing out, but I'm more surprised about Ozil missing out because of the things that have been going on between him and the club.
Okay.
When I said short, I didn't mean that short, but okay.
But it's fine. We'll just move over to Mike on his view on this.
Yeah, I love the Petr Cech one. That's a fantastic one for Chelsea. Of course, Mendy is great with his hands, but it's not so great with his feet, as we saw against United as well. On Saturday, he made that bit of a bullseye where he kicked it out for a corner. So he's not fantastic with his feet. Kepa, everyone knows about him. He's prone to making mistakes, and they paid over the odds for him, really getting big chunk of money for out of that one, and to pay for him and Caballero as well. Decent goalkeeper, but not for a Chelsea. Maybe for a lower end Premier League team in the bottom half, or somebody like a West Ham or Southampton or whatever. Somebody like that is he's good for them, but not for a Chelsea. So it's great to have Petr Cech into their squad. And I'm with Sean. I don't think he'll play loads of minutes or loads of games for them, etc. But I do think that it's a good name to have. Of course, he's got experience playing in that Premier League for a number of years. He's actually the Premier League clean sheet record holder still as well. So he might get a chance to add to that by a couple of games or two. And he done it for Arsenal as well as at Chelsea. It was a big impact in getting Mendy over the line for Chelsea as well, with the whole links with Rennes there. And I think it's going to be great for Chelsea. Good opportunity for him. Of course, he still does his ice hockey as well. He's playing a bit of ice hockey at the moment there. Is Petr Cech goalkeeper there in that division. So, I think he's a good sort of bit of business for them. And their best goalkeeper still at Stevenage on loan, though, Jamie Cumming. But other than that,
What's your thoughts on the Mesut Ozil and the Socrates?
Right, so Socrates, no surprise for me. They're never going to feature this season. And I think we actually were trying to ship him out and get rid of him in the last window, weren't able to. Mesut Ozil, I get what Sean's saying about the creativity and all of that, but he hasn't been that creative in the last sort of 3 or 4 years. He has had a lot of games where he's been sort of hit and miss, or mostly miss in some of those games as well. And some of the times he looks a little bit lazy or a little bit lost. So I do think that it's probably the right decision. Yes, there's the opportunity for him to play in the League Cup, as we said earlier, against Man City, but he's out of the Europa League squad and the Champions League squad. And I just think £350,000 a week is ridiculous wages for somebody that, is all about the publicity. It's shown in recent weeks, the Gunnosaurus, the whole thing with the the social media side of it, the whole thing with Roma, as we mentioned yesterday, Rowan, we were having a little discussion about the getting into social media influencing and whatever. So he's very much social media based at the moment, Ozil, and we touched on it on Sunday on the late debate as well, that is going to definitely be getting into the heads of the players and also Arteta and all of his staff as well. So I think we've made the right call. It's a shame we've got to put up with him until sort of May, June time, and can't just get him off the books now and move on. But the sooner we can move on from that, the better, I think.
Yeah, and we're just going to let Lee have his say before I finish off with my say on this.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much agree with what Harney's saying. Of what I've seen of Socrates, I've not really rated him. So I'm not surprised on that one. In regards to Ozil, he's been on a decline for a few seasons now. He just doesn't seem to be, that quality of a Premiership player that he once was, whether that's to do with the management or whether it's something going on with him inside his own head or he fell out with the club. I think there's a lot more going on in the background than we probably know about. But again, I agree with Harney. And a lot of players do the same now, especially these days. A lot of things aren't kept inside the club. A lot of players are hitting social media for that reaction, which is great in some ways. It gives fans that opportunity to interact in a different way. But, when they're just coming out and saying things about the club and having their opinion without consulting the club, I think that does have an impact on the trust of the manager and the other players. Obviously his wages and and all stuff like that. You know, to leave him out the squad, I think it's some statement to make, really, isn't it? You know, obviously he's got no future at the club, and like Arnie said, you know, it's a shame they can't push him out a little bit sooner. And then just quickly on Petr Cech, I mean, amazing. I just think it's fantastic, and I really hope he plays. I really do. I'd love to see him back on the pitch again with his helmet on. I just love to.
You know, he'll probably make one appearance or two appearances, and they'll be against Arsenal. The team that he's from.
Yeah. My thoughts on this. I'm not overly concerned about Socrates.
Yeah.
I don't. From what I've seen of him, I don't think he was ever really that good for Arsenal.
No, he's about our 6th or 7th top defender. Like, we've got so many higher rated ones than him. You know, even Gabriel and Saliba. You know, just to mention two that we've signed already in the summer and last year.
And Pablo Mari as well.
Yeah.
So I'm not really concerned about him, but Ozil, yeah, I can understand why he's been left out of both squads, the Europa League and the Premier League squad. But there's things going on inside. I mean, we seen last night on Twitter about AS Roma being involved in that. Maybe he's trying to force a move out there in January. Who knows?
I don't blame him, you know, for wanting to force a move anywhere when he's training with the kids. You know, any move's a good move for him right now when he's training with the under-23s.
But the biggest news for me is Petr Cech. I think it's the best bit of business that Chelsea have done since Abramovich has come in. I think, in my opinion, it's the best bit on the basis if Kepa, Mendy, Caballero all get injured or pick up a suspension, they've got a very good goalkeeper in Petr Cech, who is playing ice hockey as well as being the technical director at Chelsea.
Yeah.
He's still keeping fit. He's training every day now. So just in case he's called upon.
And it's a big factor as well, just, you know, in that Mendy deal, but it was also a big factor in the Havertz deal, in the Werner deal as well. You know, across all of those deals, he was a massive factor in getting them players to the club.
I think as well, Harney, you know, given his experience and his character, I think he's going to be fantastic to have him around in the mix with the players again.
Yeah.
I think it'll be a real boost for them, and, you know, a bit more support for Lampard as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think both of them are going to work really well together over the next season or two. I mean, Mendy signed a 4-year deal with Chelsea, so I think Czech's instigated that a lot more than it should. The next thing we're going to quickly chuck on to is about Marcus Rashford. This is about Marcus Rashford over the pandemic that we're having, the global pandemic. In England, he's just received an MBE for this. He's doing some business. He's making the free school dinners available for children that are unable to get any food during this half-term window, and he's done it. He's paid for a lot of the school dinners that are going around from all over the country. And I know Mike's got a very good say on this, so we'll hand over to him first.
Yeah, well, it's not even just Marcus Rashford. Yeah, it's fantastic what he's doing there. Ozil's doing the same as well. You know, it might be a publicity thing on Ozil's, way of thinking, as we were saying before, but he's doing it with the kids over in Barnet, which is just local as well. And there's also Crew Alexander are doing a similar sort of thing as well, one of their old players. So there's a few sort of, ones like that. They're all getting involved, and it's great because obviously the kids on half term at the moment, and you know they're struggling. Some of them, their families are struggling. You know, they might have parents that are not working at the moment. They might be, you know, sort of laid off, or you know, been let go from their jobs or whatever it may be due to this global pandemic. And it's fantastic that those guys with a bit of money, a little bit of a name and a reputation there as well. Yeah, you know, we were touching on the negative aspects of social media earlier, but this is a massive positive.
Yeah, I would chuck this over to Lee because I know he's got a very good say on this as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, he's done fantastic things for young kids, and you know, this recent sort of application which was rejected. I know Liverpool, the Merseyside area, were one of the first to act in regards to, you know, local restaurants and charities stepping up, and that's just gone global. You know, a lot of other councils have followed through. Obviously, Mayor Joe Anderson was quite kind in saying that part of the budget that Liverpool City Council have got, you know, he's going to supply, you know, the young children of Liverpool, the ones that need it the most, with food. And I just think, you know, using his profile in that way is fantastic. You know, as Harney said, you know, there's negatives in regards to social media, but this is an absolute positive. And, you know, through ourselves, Evolving Mindset as well, we're putting up some donations as well to our local food bank. So, you know, we're trying to get involved ourselves as much as we can, because, you know, the community means so much to us, and it does to everyone. And I think it's important, and, you know, we really do need to stand up and stick through this together, because it's going to be tough times, especially with the winter coming in, and, you know, children unfortunately not getting those hot meals they would do in school. So, you know, some places are doing some fantastic work. So, you know, take me hat off to them and those that are helping. Absolutely.
And actually, you've just said it there in regards to Evolving Mindset as well. I do a little bit of voluntary stuff with the charity organisation Mind, and you know, a little bit of money that I have in the bank as well, I'll send their way as well. I sent them a tenner yesterday, for example. I know it's not a lot to me, but it might be a bit, you know, a bit more to them. So they might be able to do a bit more with it there. Yeah.
Every little penny helps each child.
Yep.
We're now just going to let Sean have his say on this.
What I say about Marcus Rashford, what a perfect role model he is to the young children. Absolutely professional. Even though he plays for a rival club, you could not get anyone better to represent a perfect role model to say, this is how things are going to do. And he deserves every credit he deserves, and well deserved on the NBE as well. And I hope, fingers crossed, I hope he does more.
Yeah,
they deserve more.
Oh, absolutely. With the NBA as well. You just touched on it there. And actually, I did see earlier the Sports Personality of the Year as well. You know, they've kind of come out and said it has to be, excuse me, in regards to sporting achievements on the pitch, which is a little bit of a shame, but I'm sure they'll give him a special award, you know, separate from that. Yeah.
Yeah, he totally deserves something. I mean, he's been phenomenal for during this global pandemic. I mean, he's not on the biggest amount of wages at Man U, like the likes of Fernandez and co, but to come out and put your own money up and saying that I'm going to pay for your school dinners or pay for your council to give you school dinners, it's a brilliant thing for the councils of England, Scotland, Wales,
and Ireland as well, yeah.
And Ireland, yeah. So,
and I was just going to say, actually, just regards before we move on to the next topic, talking about the coronavirus and the things that people have done and clubs have done. Stevenage Football Club, big shouts to you as well for all of your stuff that you've done. That is huge. The players, the staff, the volunteers, everybody going out there delivering meals, sandwich deliveries, prescriptions, having a helpline, everything that you've done there through the pandemic. Well played, Stevenage. Well done.
Yeah, totally respectful to any club that's gone out there and gone beyond, in and beyond.
Yeah.
So the next thing we're going to talk about is about the Insigne brothers. They both played for their respective clubs at the weekend. Roberto Insigne for Benevento and Lorenzo Insigne for Napoli. And it was actually Roberto Insigne that actually opened the goal scoring out of the two Insignes. He put Benevento 1-0 up at half time. So, you got any views on this, Mike?
Yeah, I did see actually about that as well over the weekend, that the two brothers both scored for their respective clubs, and actually, you know, it was on the verge of being a surprise result as well with the first one, and then Juventus coming back and, you know, coming out and winning 2-1 in the end with the other brother scoring as well. So it's not something you see all of the time, but it's just a great talking point as well. You know, fantastic for both of the brothers to score, and I'm sure, you know, if they had a family meal, whatever, that night, they would have had a lot to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I've just read here that one day after he sustained an injury, I think this is about Lorenzo Insigne coming back from injury.
Yeah.
That forced him off the pitch in tears last month. Lorenzo Insigne was on the phone to his brother Roberto. "I'm going to make my comeback against you," he said. On the other end of the line, he heard laughter. "Must you?" came the reply. And they both went and scored in that game.
Yeah, sorry, I did say Juventus as well. I just want to correct myself. Napoli was what I meant.
Yeah, so a very good comeback game for Lorenzo, I think. Scoring against his brother, younger brother as well at that. And Roberto scoring as well. And to put his Benevento side 1-0 up as well, I think that's a great bit of news for both Insignes. You got any views on this, Lee?
Yeah, just obviously echo what you guys said. It's great to see, you know, especially brothers in football. You know, we had it at Man U with the Nevilles, and I think Romelu Lukaku's got a brother that plays at was it left back or right back?
Yeah, Jordan.
Jordan. Yeah, I've had him a couple of times on FM as a backup.
He's a decent little player on FM.
He's not too bad.
Not
too bad. You know, yeah, it's great, isn't it? You know, like you said there, right, Benevento, you know, going ahead, nearly causing an upset. It was good to watch, good to see, and like you said, I'm sure they went home and they were, you know, just like brothers again, although rivals on the pitch, probably rivals when they were younger kids. If anything to go by with my boys, they're always bloody fighting and having a go at each other. So I'm sure they were like that when they were kids. But I suppose it's a proud moment for them both to be playing against each other. And like you said, both scoring as well. It's fantastic to see, especially the way things are at the moment. It adds a little positive spin, doesn't it, to the world of football at the moment.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Wouldn't it have been nice if they swapped shirts as well? Well, you've muted yourself there, Lee.
Yeah, that would have been great. Yeah, it would have been great. And they may have done that.
Yeah, it would have been nice. Especially with both of them scoring and both of them being Insigne. So
I just wanted to say, actually, you mentioned there in regards to the Neville brothers as well. Obviously, Phil Neville was with Everton, and there's that whole clip on Sky Sports with Gary Neville speaking to his brother. And I can't remember what game it was, but Gary Neville is talking to his brother, and they're just having a little bit of a laugh as well. You probably know the one I'm on about. Yeah,
I remember that. Yeah, and you know what? He Neville was great when he come to us. Shock signing, to be honest, but you know, he was a fantastic captain. You got to take your hat off, but you could see that kind of camaraderie with that interview. You know, with them being brothers, and that's what it's about, isn't it? You know, I'm sure these two lads went home and had a laugh with each other and maybe shared a glass of red wine together or a beer, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, Phil Neville going to Everton was probably the biggest shock of anything because no one really expected it.
No, not at that age he was at as well. Yeah.
Definitely. I don't know where that come from, but, you know, he was a good servant for us, as I said, ended up captain, you know, so he was, and I think with his versatility as well, he helped us. I think he helped both on and off the pitch, to be honest. like I said, his versatility. He could play in a number of different positions, which at the time helped us and helped with the building of the team at the time under Moyes.
Especially when he came through Man U's youth and all that, he was actually a left back.
Exactly,
and then under Sir Alex, he ended up playing more of a centre mid role.
Yeah.
I think he had a few spells at centre back as well.
He did. Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he played. I think he played right back a few times for us, and defensive midfield as well. So he's played in a number of positions, hasn't he? But it just shows, as you said, that coming through the United Youth Academy, he was a born winner. He's won a lot of trophies, he's got a lot of experience. So in hindsight, it was a great addition to the squad. He brought some fantastic experience, and at the time, another player that has played for Everton and held a Premier League winners medal. So
it would have been nice if he didn't give away that penalty against Romania. I think it was though.
Oh, yeah. just trying to remember back.
Yeah. So the next thing we're going to talk about is the runs of Reading and Stevenage. Mm-hmm. Reading are actually on a very good run. They've won 7 of their last 8, drawing one of the other games, which was to my second team, Middlesbrough. We've also got Stevenage, who have not won in 8 games. Is that right, Mike?
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that. We'll just skim over that one. Yeah.
And
the fact we've not scored in 5 games.
I think that's a bit of a COVID cough there.
It might even be 6 actually by yesterday's game.
But they did actually pick up a very good point yesterday against Harrogate. So, so anyone got any views on this? Mike, I know you're going to have a view on the Stevenage.
Yeah, so with Stevenage, it's not a really good time for the club at all at the moment. On the back of last season, almost getting relegated as well, and getting the reprieve at the end of last season with Macclesfield. 1 minute we were down, then we were staying up, then we were down again, then we were up. But we managed to stay up in the end, so that was a positive. And then we've got new manager Alex Rivera, and I think he had about 2 games before COVID hit. Young manager, being supported by Lenny Lawrence, a name that everyone in football knows. Mark Sampson as well, another name that a lot of people will be familiar with from the England women, etc. And I think might even be Everton. Was it Everton women as well? Maybe. I know Mark did. Was it Bristol? I can't remember, but he's done a bit with some of the women's teams anyway as well. But yeah, it's not a great time for the club at the moment. Yes, we picked up that point yesterday, but we are, as you said, we haven't won a game in 8. And yeah, we haven't scored in, I think it's 5 or 6 games. So we've got a home game against Grimsby at the weekend, and just hopefully we can break that duck. We looked lively in patches yesterday in that game against Harrogate. We could have had a couple of goals, but we didn't even amount to shots on target. They were dangerous sort of areas of shooting play and shooting positions, but didn't actually no shots on target materialize from that. There was a few sort of half chances, whatever. But it's just be great to see that win, and hopefully the next win will come sooner rather than later, and then we can kick on, because we don't want to be in the position we were in last season, relying on other teams again, especially now with 2 teams going down rather than the one, because of the whole situation surrounding Bury as well. That and of course we've had Bury go out of business. We've had Macclesfield drop down as well, and now not be allowed to play in the conference. And they're 2 teams that have gone down in our place. And realistically, they're going to be 2 teams worse than us this season. On the balance of play last season, it's going to be very unlikely.
Yeah, my little quick say on this is Reading only losing 2 points to Middlesbrough and gaining a draw. I think it's a great result for Middlesbrough, but Reading, who were struggling last season, and now they've won 7 and drawn 1 from their first 8 games. I think it's a bit of great business. Stevenage run, of 8 games without a win. I
I'll
think
check. I'm going to check some stats. I think it is 6 games without a goal, but I will confirm for you as well as you carry on with what you're saying, mate. Yeah.
I think it's going to happen because obviously you did sign a lot of
Players
confidence.
for non-league, yeah. Players from conference and
So
free league below that as well, yeah.
they've had to make the big step up, knowing that they're in a different division now. So it's getting used to them. I mean, there's no fans in the stadium, so they ain't going to be able to watch the game. And fans instigate what happens on the game sometimes. If there weren't fans in the stadium, they ain't getting that boost. Where if there was fans in the stadium, the fans will actually get in behind and actually push the team maybe a bit more.
Yeah. I think it is 6 games, but just going away from that, it's actually, I've just come across this as well. We'll touch on this in more detail. It's one that we didn't put on there. It actually come through 4 hours ago, and it looks like really good news for Burnley. They're subject of a 200 million takeover bid by Mohamed Al Kashashi, I think it is, and Chris Farnell or Farnell. So the two Egyptian businessmen there and lawyer Chris as well. It's just something else that's come, and cropped across there when I was having a look. But for a club like Burnley, if they get money behind them, that's going to be huge as well. They were fantastic against Spurs and unlucky on Monday. But Lee, have you got anything that you want to add on that in regards to Burnley and maybe them getting brought out?
I mean, I just heard it from yourself there, Arnie. It's good news for Burnley. Not far from us. Not far up the road from us, the M6. So yeah, some good news. Hopefully it can go through. Obviously, we had the saga with the Newcastle takeover, and obviously the Premier League rejecting that. So hopefully this can go through, and that'll be massive for Burnley. It really will.
Yeah, and we haven't changed the schedule, Nick. That literally just popped up on my phone as I was looking, so I just thought I'd bring it in.
So yeah, I think the next bit of business that we're going to talk about, and the next topic is going to be about the Barcelona president being forced out.
Yeah.
So it was.
Right, are you on? Just a brief one, mate. Are you on the Twitch? We've got some stuff to be dealing with as well, but yeah, okay.
We'll just ignore that. But
all right.
The Barcelona president being forced out of Barcelona. He resigned yesterday, Tuesday, 27th of October, 2020, and his name's Josep Maria Bartomeu. He resigned. I don't really have much to say on this, but I'm sure the others will have.
Yeah, I think Sean did. I know he's not had anything to say on a few, so we bring him in for this one first of all, I think.
Yeah. Go on then, Sean.
Well, I think the only reason he was being forced out is because the amount of money they spent on players, on transfers. You look at Ousmane Dembele, 100 and something odd million they spent on him. You look at Coutinho, 145 million on him in transfers. They spent a total of £1 billion on transfers alone. So he was being forced out because Barcelona not been able to work out like the unit they were as like the force they were, if you know what I mean, because Real Madrid absolutely beat them in the El Clasico.
And you said about Dembele, I think it was about 180 million they spent on him, yeah.
So altogether, the players they bought is like over £1 billion they wasted on the talent itself, and they swapped. Was it Arthur for a 30-year-old from Juventus, which don't make sense at all.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
There's another view from Lee, I think, on this.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously he's took that whole board with him, and I definitely think that the Messi situation has got something to do with it as well. I think we underestimate the power Messi's got, and I think that's a common theme with a lot of big players. We really do underestimate the pull and power that these players have in regards to decisions that get made, not only with the boards, but with managers as well. I think this was coming for a while. I agree with what Sean was saying. The amount of money they've spent, absolutely wasted. Paying over the odds for players, and I think it's something that needs to be improved. And Barcelona, massive, huge club. And there's definitely something not right in the background, and clearly it was the board, and obviously now he's resigned. The pressures built up and got too much, and obviously he's resigned and took the board with him.
Yeah,
and I have to echo that really as well. I haven't really got too much to add. The Barcelona fans were wanting him out for a while. They were trying to force him out for quite a severe amount of time, and they've got their way with it in the end. And you've touched on it there with the Messi situation, Lee, as well. That he's going to have a massive impact. He really wanted to force that move through, and so be interested to see what happens with him next summer as well, because it's going to be an ongoing saga that for a number of years now.
Yeah, totally understand, and I can totally echo all of the remarks that we've just received there. The next thing we're going to talk about is the Southend United court case that they had that was going on
earlier today.
28th of October 2020. Mike has more news on this, so we'll go over to Mike on that.
Yeah, so it's great for Southend. They had to go into court today to pay off their outstanding debts, and fortunately they were able to pay them all off in full. So they are, in no danger of going under. And I know quite a lot of Southend fans myself. I've been to a few of their games, not even just games against Stevenage. I went to a game against Bristol Ravens as well with Tom and Emma, and I know quite a lot. I know Mitch, I know Jordan. And even their manager Mark as well. Mark Mosley used to play at Stevenage, so and Chris Phillips, the Echo as well, the journalist. So it's great for all of those guys, and even Ben Coker, a former Southend man who's now here at Stevenage, and Luke Prosser as well, etc. So it's really good news for Southend. The fortunes on the pitch are not really great for them at the moment. Hopefully that can turn as well, but it's no, it's what was I going to say? It's kind of obvious that results are going to probably start to pick up now, because that's going to be sort of weight off their shoulders and something off their heads. So I do think that's going to be a turn in fortune for Southend there, and it's great to see them not going down the same route as the Burys and the Macclesfields, and being able to pay off the debt. So great for Southend and for the sort of lower end of football as well, and League Two football. So. That's fantastic for Southend. And of course, as all those fans that I mentioned, it's great that you've got your club. With Bury, I know a Bury fan as well, Amanda, and she was devastated. She was gutted. It was like she just lost a loved one. So, it's obviously a massive shame when you lose your football club. It's somebody that you follow home and away for, 20 years or 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, whatever it may be. It's like you're losing somebody very, very close to you, a family member or a really close friend. So, it's obviously with Bury, that was a big shame for them, and it's really good that Southend have managed to pay off the debts and they're not going to go down the same route.
Well, I totally echo that as well. Bury losing a lot of their players as well to my team, Plymouth Argyle, but we did actually pay out £30,000 for Dominic Telford, and I think that money actually went to a Bury associate to make sure that the football ground and all that, when they get back into the Football League, they have that funds available for them.
Yeah, it was the same with Stevenage. We picked up a few of their players as well, Chris Stokes being one of them.
Yeah, I mean, they've lost. Bury lost all their players. They appointed a manager that managed Truro in the Vanarama National League South, who went on to get relegated. I think Bury were looking to fold anyway, but I'm so glad. I don't like to see football clubs fold. I mean, we've had the likes of Ruston and Diamonds in the Football League. They've had to fold. We've had Macclesfield who've now folded.
Lots of clubs. You know, we touched on it with the FA Cup draw. Hereford, Darlington, because they've gone under 1883 now as well.
Yeah, Hereford, yeah, Darlington, Chester.
Yeah.
Who are a big name in the old Division 3.
Mm-hmm.
We've had the likes of there's another few teams that have gone under, but they come back from the dead and made a new team, and I'm happy for Southend to have paid off all their debts. And
they're a good bunch as well. A really great bunch of supporters, Southend. They're very loud, very vocal, very, behind their team all the way. And even right now, they're sitting rock bottom in League Two. And I really do hope for their sake the fortunes turn around.
Yeah, I totally agree with this, because I have been to a Southend v Exeter game quite a few years ago, where I went to watch them because Argyle were away.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to see some local football. I weren't going to local football teams now back then, but now I'll go to a local football team and I'll go and support them because it's only literally down the road from me, and hopefully they can get on the rise up into the National League South.
And that's great as well, to support the lower league teams. These clubs that aren't going to have very much else, that they, the players are going to be on very little wages. They're going to be reliant on those fans to come in, the 300 fans or 200 fans, whatever they end up getting. So that's brilliant for a club like Plymouth Parkway, like the clubs down here. The likes of Hitchin Town and places like that. So it's great, to actually get to some of these local grounds, these local games, and support other local clubs as well, that you can actually go in and watch the game, and you're actually there amongst other people, and it's great for those clubs, and they're able to get some income and some money.
So we'll hand over to Leon, his thoughts on this.
Yeah, I mean, it's I think what he's both said there, it's such a shame that the finances are impacting so much on these clubs, and especially the current situation we're in. You'd think that the bigger clubs would try and help them a lot more. I mean, obviously Southend were lucky. Only what I've read, they were able to sell Roots Hall, which is give them the opportunity to refinance the club. Obviously Macclesfield weren't so lucky, but yeah, we've seen some clubs, like you said, disband. Chester have done it. Wimbledon in the old days. So it's been happening for a long time, but more so lately. More so nowadays. It's becoming more and more difficult for these smaller clubs to stay afloat, and it's such a shame. I think those clubs are struggling already, and COVID coming along has just kind of put the final nail in the coffin for some of them, unfortunately. It's a shame in some cases, but it's good for Southend. I'm pleased that they've been able to get the funds together and survive. So yeah, hopefully, as you said, they're sitting bottom. I think that they're winless after the first 9 matches.
Yeah, lost again last night against Oldham as well at home. Yeah.
So hopefully they can pick up now, and that positive news will filter down into the team and into the players. Yeah,
because the manager there, Mark Mosley, he said that it's not having an impact on him or on his team, but surely it is.
Yeah, I think it does, doesn't it? It's things that are going on in the background of the club. The players get to know about it. Sure they do, and the human beings as well at the end of the day, and it's going to impact on them, isn't it? Absolutely.
And then just before we, I'll come back to you in a sec, right? But we were talking about Hitchin Town in there as well. And, you know, for a local non-league club, they've actually, during COVID, they were able to raise over £2,000 to help with donations for the club and, you know, the running of the club, etc. So, you know, it's not a lot of money to some people, but for a club like Hitchin, that's huge.
Yeah, I totally second that. And it's great to have a bit of non-league making money for other clubs and all that as well.
Yeah, definitely.
The next segment that we are going to talk about is a very sensitive subject.
Yes.
It's to the thoughts of Jeremy Whiston, who sadly took his own life early part of this week. And we will give our condolences to Jeremy Whiston's friends, family, and football family.
Yeah, teammates.
To him.
Yeah.
We do really wish you had gone through and actually got on better. I mean, the reason apparently that he did
it was down to depression, wasn't it? I think
depression, and on the release of being released from Man City.
Yeah.
So big thoughts to anyone related or anyone connected to Jeremy Whiston.
Absolutely. I just want to come in now. I know Lee's going to have a lot to say on this, being the company director for Evolving Mindset, a big mental health charity there. They're actually going to be in FM21 as well, which is great. And so with Jeremy Whiston there, I think it's a huge shame. You know, it's kind of similar to Gary Speed as well, another player that took his own life through depression. Michael Felicitas as well, the former Stevenage player who was on Love Island, and he went through the similar kind of thing. And it's a shame. You know, these players have been released, and he's only a young lad. He's a 17-year-old boy, and you know that's where it's so important for mental health and for everyone to actually, you know, feel that they're able to speak about it and to be open about it. Because I was actually watching the stream yesterday on Instagram, one of the Instagram lives, and it was a guy, I think his name was Tom, and he was talking with one of these university sort of help things as well in regards to, you know, the mental health aspect of universities and colleges and students, etc., through the COVID lockdown and the coronavirus pandemic. And it is huge right now. So, yeah, big rest in peace to Jeremy Whiston there, and, you know, thoughts of his family, his friends, all of his colleagues as well at Man City, and players that have played with him, etc., and that know him. So, you know, it's a shame that you weren't able to come out and to speak to somebody, you know, a mental health nurse like Lee, for example, who could have got you on the right track and been able to help you out. So, you know, I'll hand over to you now, Lee, as well, when you can give your opinion and your thoughts on this one. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a shame, you know, the poor lad. He's 17, and I know you made reference to Gary Speed as well, and you know, there's a number of you know, ex-footballers in regards to mental health. You know, we done a session through Evolving Mindset in regards to depression, and we done a segment around Merson.
Yeah,
Paul Merson, you know, another massive character within the footballing world. You know, obviously addiction more so with him, but it's still that mental health. But you know, to take your own life is something tragic, and it's huge within men, young men. You know, and especially, and you know, we found more so in COVID. You know, that isolation.
Sorry, mate. Just one thing. Actually, you said that about men as well, and you know, the footballers and just men in general. One of my comments that I made, even on that Instagram live that I was talking about, was the whole, you know, sort of saying about man up. You know, it's and you know, it's okay for men. Men are strong. Men don't cry. You know, people need to break that stigma down now, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know whether you've seen it yourself, Harney, but I've done a session on my Twitch channel around breaking that stigma. And we know at Evolving Mindset is something that we're massive on is breaking down that stigma, because you're absolutely right. You know, I think, you know, back in the day it was a lot easier for people to say to a man, especially, you know, if he was feeling low or depressed, just to get on with it, man up. You're a man, you're the breadwinner, you're the man of the house. You're not allowed to be upset or depressed or sad. And it's just, you know, it's leading to so many men, you know, just giving up and obviously committing suicide. And, you know, it's a massive subject and we don't talk about it enough. And we really do need to talk about it more and more. And, you know, as you said there, you know, being a director of a mental health charity, for me, it's all about raising that awareness ultimately. And I doing that through Twitch and obviously through Twitter and every sort of platform we can, really, to try and, you know, promote Evolving Mindset. But other charities out there, there's some smaller charities out there, and we've got a partnership with a local organisation called Sean's Place, which was opened by a lady whose brother actually committed suicide just last year or the year before, 2019, I think it was. And, you know, the help is out there, but it's accessing it as well. And, you know, unfortunately, there's certain places that you go where, you know, there's a criteria that you need to meet, and it's such a shame. And, you know, if there was more kinds of informal platforms for people to come, you know, as you know yourself, Harney, and that's something that I want to promote in my Discord is it's a safe, confidential place for people to come and chat, and, you know, to reach out as well. And like you said, there's that many people, not just men, you know, women as well, who are suffering. And, you know, suicide rates, I believe, when we get the new stats from the World Health Organization, we're going to see a massive rise in you know, the percentage of people who have a mental health problem, but also the suicide rate is going to be astronomical. We're going to see a massive rise in it as well. And it's such a shame that, you know, people need to realise that there is places out there that they can come and talk to, and sometimes that's down to knowledge. And if you don't know something's there, you're not going to go out and ask for it. And again, like I said, that's something that we really want to endorse within this organisation and this charity especially, is trying to reach out to as many people as we want. And even this kid here, you know, at 17, something that we're trying to do now, and we've just got ourselves a link with Southport FC. So
brilliant.
We're going to be going in there and delivering some mental health sessions to the players and the staff, and just raising awareness more. And we're hoping to go into some schools as well. So for us as an organisation, that's where we can go further, but raise more awareness. And if we can get into more of those lower league sides, you know, it's a start. And I know that there's a massive campaign, you know, through the Premier League sides. It's huge. Yeah. But, you know, we need to do more. We really do need to, at a lower level and a younger level. I think kids need to understand.
Yeah, sorry, mate. I know you're getting into quite a lot of detail there in regards to that, but I just wanted to say, is it kind of run worldwide, and is it people that can access it from everywhere? And in regards to those sessions that you're running for, you know, for Southport as well, is that available? You know, say somebody from Stevenage is listening, and then you might have the media team. Dan might be listening, for example, somebody like that. Would you have somebody that would come around here and be able to look after, you know, the Stevenage, or somebody from London, or, you know, wherever?
I mean, we obviously we're a Merseyside-based organisation, and the reason for me reaching out on Twitch and social media, and obviously, as you said earlier, I reached out to SI Games, and now we're going to be in the FM21 game on the ad boards. So they're going to show our logo on advertisers, and absolutely, you know, if Stevenage want us to come in, we're also qualified mental health first aid trainers, as are we qualified mental health nurses. So, you know, if there are any smaller clubs out there that, you know, want some support from us, we can offer taster sessions, and we can come in and offer bespoke sessions as well. You know, it's something that we really want to do, and we really want to help as many people as we can. You know, it's something we're all passionate about, and we have been for a long time.
Yeah, I fully respect that, and thanks to Lee for mentioning all of that about evolving mindset.
And of course, you do. Sorry, mate. You do streams as well. Not just Twitch streams for, you know, Football Manager as well, to kind of lift people's spirits. But you do a mental health stream fortnightly as well on a Wednesday. So you did one this evening, and you're doing one in 2 weeks' time. So and it kind of covers over a different section of mental health every time you go on.
Yeah. So obviously this evening I kind of focused more around the current COVID situation and trying to manage anxiety. But you're right. We what I'm trying to do is every fortnight just bring something different to the Twitch channel and try and reach out to people within that online world really, and just give them another platform to be able to come and get support, even if it's just sitting there and watching. If we can help someone in one stream, then that's my job done. So we've been doing stuff around low self-esteem, stress and anxiety management, mental health awareness as a whole. We'll be looking at positive habits and physical health coming up soon. So we're adapting and changing these sessions based on feedback and the needs really of the people out there and what's going on in the world. We're trying to adapt the best way we can and try and offer the right support where it's needed.
That's fantastic, the work that you're doing as well. I know I've known you for probably about 3-4 weeks, and straight away it was evident. And big thank you and props to Russ for bringing me over as well.
Yeah.
Because he's brought me over. I brought Rye and Giggsy, and everyone's just so welcoming and so friendly. So it's a great group, great community, and a lovely group of people as well. So you're made to feel welcome straight away.
Thank you. Yeah, and I'm sorry if just picking up on Zara's comment there in the chat. The thing about mental health is that it doesn't discriminate. It really doesn't. You could be a high-flying businessman, a multimillionaire, or just an average job postman. With a normal job, it doesn't discriminate. Mental health does not discriminate against anyone. So it really is important that if you are suffering, please reach out and speak to us or any local organisation, and just remember that it is okay not to be okay, and the first step is just accepting that you need that support because it is out there. So thank you. Thanks, Zara.
So thank you very much for everything you said there, Lee. Totally second that, and I'm so happy to have been involved in your Twitch streams the last few nights. And
I was just saying. Sorry, mate. I was just going to say, actually, we've had the late debate as well. The something very similar to this actually that goes across on the Sunday that we spoke about earlier. The mental health streams, the Football Manager streams. Everything's a lot of fun. It's all upbeat and happy. We have a laugh. We have some music. The classic song as well that we were playing just before to get us in the mood that we stuck on just before coming live as well. Gets everybody pumped, and every time you get a new subscriber and things like that, you put that song on and just gets everyone feeling good. And me and you are going to be linking up. I'll touch on what we said Sunday in the near future, and doing our own sort of mental health stream. And
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And we're going to wrap up this hour-and-a-half long podcast that we've done. Thanks to Mike, Sean, and Lee for taking you Wednesday out. We're going to give Lee a big mention as well. You can follow Evolving Mindset on all social media. So, Lee, you can give your shout out there.
Yeah, we're on Instagram, Evolving Mindset 2019. We're also on Facebook at Evolving Mindset. We're also on Instagram. It's EV Mindset on Instagram, and obviously we're on Twitter. And like I said, you can catch us on any sort of social media platform. We're out there now. We're reaching more people. We're getting more followers. So we are, getting bigger and better. And like I said, we just want to reach out and help as much as we possibly can, as many people as we can. And we've also got a website which you can go to, which is www.evolvingmindset.co.uk, and then all of our information's on there, and you can meet the other directors and other members of the team that do a lot of really tough work in the background, research and some media stuff, some of the admin tasks that we need to do. So, it's a really amazing collective group, and I'm so proud to be a part of it, and not only be the director, but obviously be one of the people who are heavily involved in promoting it. And as Harney said, it's heavily involved in my streams. I advertise it everywhere on the debate in my FM streams, and obviously a stream. You can come and find me at Limo57 on Twitch. And like I said, I do stream on a regular basis. So, but thank you for the opportunity on coming on here tonight. I've really enjoyed it, and it's been great. Being a part of this podcast.
Are you streaming after? Are you going to be streaming a bit tonight, a bit of FM or something? Are you when you come on?
Yeah, I'll be on about 11ish. Yeah, definitely.
So anyone that's watching this, you can head over to twitch.tv/Limo57. He'll integrate with you all the time. He has a laugh and a joke with you. You can do anything, and he'll, within reason, and he'll make you smile.
The Discord as well is a big, place to be. Really good place there. It's got loads of different aspects to that, whether that be, the promoting yourself or, registering to go onto the late debate, or, there's loads of different aspects to that. Just a general chat as well, and positivity chat, like where you can kind of just put in your positivity kind of everything like that, messages and everything like that for other people, little support messages and that. So it's a great kind of place to be, the Discord server.
It's a great community, isn't it? Yourself included. There's a lot of positivity in there, and that wraparound support that I've got in my Discord's fantastic.
Mm-hmm. And then we've got just loads great places to be, the Twitch and everywhere. So even Nicole there, you and Nicole might have to have a chat separately, because she's wants to go maybe into the same route. So you and Nicole could have a little chat, and she can get some tips off you and that.
Yeah, pass me details on to her, Harney, and she's more than welcome. Like I say, I'll support anyone as much as I can.
Now we'll say thank you to Mike, and we can find his channels, and he's going to shout them out now.
Yeah, so we've got the SFC interviews, which is where I do the interviews of the former Stevenage FC players. So I've done 44 so far. Not too sure when my next one will be. And we've got the Worldwide Gooner Elite, which is the podcast as well, the Arsenal podcast that we do, which I still need to do an update of probably the last 6 or 7 games of that one. And then all my personal stuff, my social media as well. Stevenage Gooner on Twitter. And then we've got, Facebook as well. Find me on Facebook, Mike Harneman, and Instagram is Harney Storm FM as well. And Storm FM is the station that I run, the radio station, which has been run for a decade now, for the last 10 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you very much to Mike there for voicing that out. And
cheers,
thank you very much to Sean for showing his commitment to the podcast. We'll see you all very soon.
In a month's time. So enjoy the footballing fix as well, everybody. And if you want to come and join in with some more football on a Sunday as well, you can obviously find Limo's late debate on Twitch as well. Be more football across the weekend. Premier League action, and even JMO talks a bit about the lower leagues as well. So Championship and League 1, League 2, yeah.
And also, if you do want to come join us, just drop me, Mike, Limo a message, or even Nicole a message as well, asking about details about how do I come on to the stream or whatever. We will show you how. I mean, this is the first time Lee's used this streaming software tonight.
Yeah, hopefully we'll have you on again soon as well. It would be good to get you on, maybe.
Absolutely.
Possibly, yeah,
no problem at all. Thank you.
So thank you very much to Mike, Sean, and Lee for joining me tonight.
Cheers, Rai. Thanks, mate.
We'll see you all in about a month's time, where we talk about the whole of November and the last bit of October that's set to go. Cheers and good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
See you now.